Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United versus FC Omonia preview in the Europa League for this Thursday night. It comes round again very quickly because we are playing these back-to-back games, which means it has to be another 3 points for Manchester United. It's at Old Trafford and I fully expect us to win this game if I'm honest with you. Surprise, surprise! Slow Sports News there from Mark Goldbridge. Manchester United to beat Omonia from Cyprus at Old Trafford in the Europa League. Of course we're going to win this game. We were very poor in Cyprus, but we still found a way to win. It's still probably one of the greatest nights of their history, losing 3-2 to Manchester United and it being a close loss. So, of course, we will win this game. I think it's a really important game, and I hope it's going to be an important game for people to actually get some game time who need it. And again, I think we are a little bit blasé, and we've probably learned our lesson in the past that in these sort of games, you think, well, let's just play the reserves. But I think if you played the reserves and the youth, you might end up losing the game. I think Omonia will be beaten, but I still think you've got to respect them to a certain extent. I said that in the game in Cyprus, I felt that they were a League One side. So you've got Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two. League One is sort of where Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday are. I think that's the sort of level Omonia are. Maybe they're a little bit worse than that. Maybe they're slightly better, but that's where they're at. And if you play Sheffield Wednesday and you put out your reserves and your youth, you might get beat. So we've got to give them some respect whilst also being clever because we've got Newcastle on the Sunday at 2 o'clock. So as you can see there, for me, it's a mixture. You can make 5 substitutes. So I would be looking to start 5 or 6 first team players that you can substitute in the second half and give 4 or 5 players that need some game time. Hence, I've gone with this team here. So look, I would start De Gea in goal. I think that people might be like, why don't you play Dubravka or Heaton? Quite simply because I think we're in the situation with David De Gea, and we were talking about this last night, weren't we? Is he going to get a new deal or not? Some would say yes, some would say no. I certainly think he can earn it, and if he plays like he did against Everton, where he's coming out of his box, his passing's really good, then why spend a load of money on a new goalkeeper when you can just keep David De Gea? And that's still a possibility. For that to be a possibility, if I'm Erik ten Hag, keep playing him. Like, if he's going to develop the tools that you want him to have, the more games he plays, the quicker you'll find out. So I would play De Gea. Right back, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's probably got to be Delo. He could do with a rest. But who else is there? Wan-Bissaka's not back in training. Brandon Williams is not back in training. So neither of those two people are fit. We don't actually have somebody. If anyone's answers on a postcard, who can we play there? So I think Delo's got to play. I'd play Varane, even if it's for an hour. I would play Varane just to give him a bit of game time ahead of the Newcastle game. Lindelof would probably come out for the Newcastle game with Martinez and Varane playing, so I'd play Lindelof and Varane. Maybe you bring Martinez on for the last half an hour and take Varane off. And at left back, I'd start Malacia because Shaw's the first choice left back at the moment. So I think that picks itself. Into the midfield, I would play Casemiro for 45 minutes and give McTominay 45 minutes. McTominay is suspended for the Newcastle game. What's the point in him playing 90 minutes against Cypriot team? I think realistically, Casemiro needs more game time. He doesn't need 90 minutes. That's too much for him, but I would give him 45 minutes just to keep that rustiness from, redeveloping again. I'd give him a bit of game time. He needs game time. The more games he plays, the better he'll get. So I would give Casemiro a start. Fred hasn't played in ages, and I think he's the most suitable player if we need to take Eriksen or Bruno out of the team. I think at the moment Fred's the best option, so I'd give Fred a start. And then look, Donny van der Beek is in there. I don't know whether Donny van der Beek will even be fit. Probably not. If he was fit, I'd definitely start him. If not, you're going to have to play Eriksen or Bruno and give them 45 minutes each. Or maybe you give Jadon Sancho a game at number 10, because to be honest with you, Sancho's not in this team. And the reason he's not in that team is I think Rashford and Antony put such a hard shift in against Everton that they almost deserve the reward of starting against the Omonia, where there's going to be a lot of space and they can maybe run at players. So I think Rashford and Antony will want to play. And I think it will give them a bit of a confidence boost to play against a team where they can attack and run at them a little bit and maybe pick up another goal each. And I think Rashford, Casemiro, Antony, Ronaldo, I would give them an hour and say, look, go out there for an hour, get your goals, come off. And I simply would just do that with those 4 players. And I think those 4 players are first team players that you just keep them sharp enough for Newcastle, but not too tired enough that they play 90 minutes. He might do it a different way, but I would do that. Obviously, you've got Alanga that can come on, Sancho that can come on. Up front, we don't really have anybody, but it might be a night for Charlie McNeil. It might be a night for someone like that if Martial's not fit, and I don't think Martial will be fit. If Martial is fit, then he needs to start to just, get himself back raring to go again. Because I think Ronaldo will start against Newcastle now. I think he's earned that right. But if Martial's not fit, I'd start Ronaldo and then I would take him off. And I think I'm very happy with that team. I'd be very surprised if I've got it right, but I do think it's important that people like Varane, Casemiro, Ronaldo, Anthony, Rashford all play and start for an hour, and then you take those 5 players off fresh for Newcastle. Because we will win this game, and that team will win the game. That team will probably be hopefully 2-3-0 up before the time you come to make your substitutions. And then, if you want to give Garnacho a bit of game time, or, you want to get a Charlie McNeil on the pitch or someone like that, you can do it. Or maybe an Iqbal or someone like that, you can do it. Or a Palestri. So there's people that I think I would like to see given game time on Thursday night in that last half an hour when the first teamers have had a bit of match sharpness delivered to them, which I think Ronaldo will want to play. I think Rashford will want to play. Anthony will want to play because they'll be fancying it, getting themselves a good performance, a good hour in and a few goals as well. There's no jeopardy in this game. I mean, never say never. Football is, littered with historical super shocks, if so to speak, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility that United could lose this game, but it's got to be less than 5% chance of that happening. And I think it's really it's a game to utilise and develop, and we'll have a lot of possession as well. So I wouldn't be going for wholesale changes because I'd want something to, if I was the manager of that team, I know that, look, if Fred scores a hat-trick, so what? He's not starting against Newcastle. If McTominay has a brilliant game, he can't play against Newcastle. So I would want, as a manager, I would want something to come out of this game that's positive that I can use on Sunday against Newcastle. And that, for me, would be Rashford getting a goal, or Anthony, or Ronaldo getting a couple of goals, or Casemiro having a good hour. Those sort of things, the confidence grows, and you can use that ahead of Newcastle on Sunday. So, yeah. Score predictions anywhere between 2 and 8-0. I mean, it could be anywhere between that. I wouldn't expect us to concede. I mean, I know we conceded over there, but we really shouldn't have done. And I think it's an opportunity where I would be saying, if I was Eric Ten Hag, I want that defensive line on the halfway line. I don't want it to move away from there. David, I want you on the edge of your penalty box. If they hit any long balls, I want you running off that and controlling it, and we'll start from you. That's the test, David. And if you get a few wrong, you get a few wrong. But you're doing it in a safe environment at Old Trafford, where there'll be 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't know how many thousand people are going to turn up. I want you on the edge of your penalty box. I want my defensive line on the edge of on the halfway line. And if they hit those long balls to release the pressure, David, it's good practice for you to just take that ball and start the attack again. The defensive line, I want you on the halfway line. Fullbacks, I want you to go forward. I want to swamp their penalty box. I want to see high possession, high chance creation, high ball rotation. I want to see intensity. I want to see a really good team performance that everyone will go, it's only Omonia, but I will go, I can take that momentum and confidence into the next few weeks, which are going to be very, very difficult. I mean, we're not going to learn. I think the most important thing on Thursday night is if Sheriff can do us a favour against Sociedad, which they didn't manage to do in the other game. So the way this Europa League group is panning out is that I think we win against Omonia. Their next game is against Sheriff in a couple of weeks. We win that, and then it all comes down to this one-off game in Spain against Real Sociedad, where if we win it, we'll top the group. If they draw it, they'll top the group. If they win it, they'll top the group. And I think that will be a really important game because obviously if we do finish second in the group, we have to play 2 more games, which will be a game against whoever's one of the teams who's finished third in the Champions League. So there's a lot to play for, but I think we are just sort of hoping that Sociedad are going to drop some points, which I don't think they will. So really, we've just got to use these games as fitness, really. I know that some people see it as a disadvantage that you play these sort of games. Was it a disadvantage with Everton? Everton had a whole week off. We didn't, and we controlled the game at Goodison Park. I don't actually think it's a problem for us to have these Thursday night games. And I said this in the summer. I said this actually towards the end of last season when people were saying I'd rather we didn't finish in the Europa League. I'd rather we didn't finish in the Conference League. I'd rather we didn't, we weren't in Europe at all. And I said, well, I think it's really important because I think it's all right having the team to train all week, but Ten Hag had the team to train all pre-season. We played some very nice stuff, but we couldn't do it in the Premier League in the first couple of games. So I think the more competitive games you play in front of thousands of fans, I think that's where you really do develop your team and your unity. And look, we've got to be very careful. I think that this Martial update is concerning. I think he's going to be out for a time, but hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll be back very, very soon. But we're so reliant on Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's funny how the story rotates, isn't it? I was talking about this on the morning show. You look at Gakpo and you go, well, I'm sure Ten Hag wants Gakpo, and that might allow Ronaldo to leave with Ten Hag's blessing. But actually, Gakpo shouldn't be coming in because Martial's injury prone, and he shouldn't be coming in because Ronaldo wants to leave. Gakpo should be coming in because we're light up front. I mean, Martial's injured. Ronaldo's the only striker we've got. We're very light up front, and people say, well, Rashford can play there. I think we all know that Rashford's best place is off the left. And then if Rashford becomes the support striker to rotate with Ronaldo, then Sancho comes back in the team when he doesn't deserve to be in it at the moment. And if Sancho plays badly again or gets injured, who's the left winger? Because Antony's the right winger. We are, and we all know, we are very light up front. And this, for me, is where, and I'm not going to go down the same road again here, but this is where Manchester United failed so miserably in the summer. I heard somebody saying about Martinez and the impact he's had on the dressing room, and they were quoting his price as £55 million. And that's 10, 15 million overpriced, no matter how well he performs. Antony is 20, 30 million pounds overpriced. Well, straight away, you've got 40 million quid there that if we'd done deals properly and more efficiently, and let's not forget, Ten Hag wanted Antony and Martinez very early on in the window, and we still overpaid later in the window. There's the Gakpo money. And I tell you what, it was a good summer transfer window. Martinez, Eriksen, Malacia, Antony, Casemiro, they're all very important players for us now. But realistically, Gakpo should have been there as well. And if he was there, we wouldn't be having these conversations about how lightweight we are up front. And he can play anywhere across the front three. So we are lightweight, and it does worry me. But at the moment, I don't think the depth of the squad is a huge issue. And I think that there are benefits to these types of games where you can give people match sharpness. And I think, we're trying to develop David De Gea. He needs games. Dalot, all right, he's been overplayed, but the more games he plays, I think the better he'll get. Casemiro needs games. Ronaldo will be happy to play. Rashford. Antony needs games. Antony does need games. The more he plays, the better he seems to be getting. So at the moment, I don't think the Europa League is a massive problem. It might be in a couple of weeks. It's going to get very relentless. But then we're going to hit the World Cup, aren't we? And then that's going to be a break again. So, look, I'll keep saying it, and I'm sure many of you will agree with me. We've got to get to a point with this January transfer window where this club actually uses it. It's the strategy of an idiot to say, well, we've spent a load of money in the summer. We're not going to spend any more money till next summer, because anybody, not just United fans, anybody can see we need to spend money in January because we are lightweight. And already you could say that with Martial being so injury prone, we're really reliant on Ronaldo. And if Ronaldo drops off or can't play twice a week and we stop scoring goals, we'll stop accumulating points and our season will not hit the heights it can do. Are we prepared for this season ahead? Not really. And if we ignore January, and we saw it last year, they ignored January with Rangnick and we didn't make top four. Arsenal ignored January with Arteta and they didn't make top four. Spurs went and got Kulusevski and Bentancur in January and they got top four. So we can't ignore it. We can't ignore it. And especially when we come back after the World Cup and we might have an extra 2 games to play in the Europa League if we finish behind Real Sociedad. And then you've got the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the top 4 race, hopefully. We look at the football now. Look at football now. We are playing Thursday, Sunday every week for the next 5 weeks. It's relentless. After a World Cup, which will tire a lot of people mentally and physically, we're then going to start on Boxing Day and play twice a week until May, apart from an international break, which I think is in March. So it's going to be very, very difficult. And I just wonder if Manchester United do have the plan in place, but we'll see. At the moment, I do think these sort of games are useful because we are under a new manager who is still trying to find out so much about his team. And I think that at the moment it's not a massive problem, and the only problem is the players who are injury prone, who just can't get fit. But they'd probably be injured even if we're playing one game a week. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Give us your comments below. What do you think of that team? Would you make more changes? Would you make less changes? I think Newcastle on Sunday is going to be a very difficult game, by the way. So I do think we need to play first team players because of that, to keep them sharp and keep them, you know, on the boil, so to speak. But I wouldn't play them for 90 minutes, of course, because I think that's when you start to pick up fatigue and things like that. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe. I'll speak to you later on.